¿Está bien allá? Sí. Ready? Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm here to talk to you today about an officer-involved shooting that the Glendale Police Department had earlier today. About 2 p.m. this afternoon, Glendale Police received a call of a male subject in the area of 65th Avenue and Sierra Street. This male subject reportedly was in a Toyota vehicle and had a firearm. So that was our initial call. Our officers responded to check out what was going on, ensure everyone was safe, and obviously make contact with this individual. Before our officers arrived, this subject was able to enter that vehicle and start traveling westbound on Sierra Street. At the same time our officers were arriving, one of our officers was traveling eastbound on Sierra Street. They crossed paths facing each other, and our officer observed the suspect point what was believed to be a weapon in his direction. At that point, our officer used lethal force against the subject, striking him, and this subject was transported to a local hospital to receive medical care. As far as we know, he is stable and is expected to survive, but is obviously expecting or receiving that medical care to, get better. It is an active investigation. It's very, very early on. All this information is preliminary, and as soon as we have more information, we're more than willing to share that. If you have any questions, please go ahead.
The officers have any body cameras or dash cam cameras?
Yes, they have body cameras, they have dash cams.
Was the suspect's gun or possible weapons recovered?
It's part of the investigation. A weapon has been observed, and our officers and detectives will be processing all parts of this scene as evidence.
You can only say that it's a weapon, not a gun?
Correct, yeah, it is a weapon.
How many times did the officer shoot? We saw quite a bit of bullet holes in the car.
That's part of the investigation. We don't have that exact number yet, but we do know that he did fire or discharge his weapon multiple times.
There's only one officer involved?
One officer involved in the shooting, a second officer as a witness.
And then you said the weapon was pointed at the officer. Did that person discharge their weapon?
We don't have that information right now. It's a good question.
Were there any commands for him to put down the gun before that officer opened fire?
That information I don't have right now. We know it was a very fluid scene. We know both vehicles were in motion, so with something so dynamic as that, sometimes it's difficult to give out commands. But we are investigating that, and that will be made known at a later time.
To clarify, you mentioned that you got the 911 calls and then he got in a car. Was he walking? Were there reports that he was walking around the neighborhood with a gun or leaving a house with a gun?
That's a great question. So we actually did receive multiple 911 calls of the subject in the area. Some of those calls included him walking around, behaving erratic, in the vehicle, driving fast. So, that just adds on to the reason we responded.
Was this person, do you guys know his identity, if he's a repeat offender or someone who lives in the area?
Well, we're investigating that. He is known to us just because we've had prior contact with him, but it's all part of the ongoing investigation at this time.
Are you able to share an age?
Not at this time. I'm sorry.
But an adult man?
An adult man, correct.
Does he live in this neighborhood?
That is unknown at this time.
You said he was taken to the hospital. Can you talk about his injuries at all?
We know he suffered a gunshot wound, but as far as location and amount of gunshot wounds he suffered, I don't have that information.
Did the subject point the weapon at the officer?
Yes. Based on our investigation, that is what happened. He pointed what was believed to be a weapon at our officer.
And then can you just walk over? I know maybe you can keep it general, but what happens when an officer fires his weapon? What are standard operating procedures in this kind of incident?
That's a great question. Obviously there is both the internal investigation, there is an external investigation that ultimately goes to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. As far as the internal investigation, for us, our desire is to be transparent, correct? So we're part of the West Valley Incident Response Team. And because of that, Surprise Police Department will be handling this investigation as far as the officer involved shooting. So for additional information in the coming future, Surprise PD would be the ones to reach out to as far as that.
Are there going to be any charges filed against this man?
That's a great question. And again, because Surprise Police Department is handling the investigation, they would be the ones to more thoroughly answer that question.
Bullet fragments or anything contained to just the street and no houses where it is?
Great question. As far as we know, nobody was hit, no homes were hit, but with any projectile from a firearm or weapon, those pieces of evidence can be, littered all over a crime scene. So,
Is there any threat to the community now?
not at this time. No, it's just expect a heavy police presence, obviously given the circumstances, but no threat to the community.
Did the officer try and stop the suspect's car? It looked like there was some sort of crash.
We don't have that information right now. It's possible they could have tried to stop him, but as far as we know, a weapon was pointed at our officers, and they responded with firearm.
Did the officer get out of the car and shoot, or shoot from in the car? That was kind of a weird question.
No, it's a great question. I understand it. It's from what we know, he fired his weapon, and in the process, he got out of his vehicle. So it's hard to say whether he fired inside of his vehicle through his windshield or if he stepped out and fired more. It's all part of an ongoing investigation, which later can be made known once those details become available to you guys. That's a great question. I can say it will be with hours. Just with any severe situation like this, it's a very heavy investigation and lots of moving parts. Many agencies are here as well, so expect quite a few hours for us to be out here processing the scene.
Can you give us any details about the officer? How long he's been on the force? Anything like that?
That's a great question. I don't know his exact years on the force, but no officers were injured, and I'm glad you bring that up. All officers are safe and accounted for. They've been transported to a safe location to continue the investigation. Thank you.
For good measure, can we have you say and spell your name?
Yes, thank you. My name is Officer Moroni Mendez with the Glendale Police Department. I'm the Public Information Officer. My first name is Moroni, last name Mendez.
And just so you guys know, we're going to put out what he supplied to all of your desks. And after tonight, we won't be the investigating agency. All further questions have to go through surprise. And I think we're comfortable saying he's a male in his 20s, the suspect. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good to meet you, brother. Take it easy, man.